The judge didn't need proof. The gods would decide. Stripped to the waist, you stood at the river's edge, shaking, silent, the crowd staring. No plea, no defence, just the trial. If the waters spared you, you were innocent. If they didn't, your body would wash up downstream. In ancient Mesopotamia, truth wasn't argued, it was survived. Some were forced to walk through fire. Others swallowed poison or held red-hot metal in their bare hands. Blisters, burns, drowning lungs. These were the voices the gods listened to. Justice was divine, but never kind. And you wouldn't survive the river. Join me as we step back into the echoes of ancient Mesopotamia, a land where the laws of men and gods intertwine, amidst the rising dust and fervent whispers of bustling streets. The vibrant marketplace, alive with a cacophony of traders and curious onlookers, morphs into a stage where the mundane and the divine prepare for a timeless showdown. Justice tangled with fate, woven by the unseen hands of celestial arbiters. As the sun sets, casting a warm amber hue across the ziggurats, it illuminates the restless exchanges of commerce and accusation. Here in this throbbing artery of daily life, you're not merely a passerby, but the accused, a single voice cutting through the chaotic blend of bartering and banter, denounces you as a thief. This pointed claim pierces the thick veil of harmony, leaving you exposed beneath the scrutinous gaze of the crowd. Words burning with immediacy brand you with a stigma that feels as tangible as the gritty dust underfoot, a burden marked by suspicion. In this ancient world, words hold the might of incantations, where whispered condemnation alone can suffice to send ripples through your life. Justice here adheres neither to evidence nor to the empiricism that comforts our modern minds. Instead, it flows with the capricious will of divine oversight. Accusations ascend like smoke towards the skies, seeking invisible edicts of the gods, presuming justice through the volatility of human and divine realms converged. Under the watchful eyes of your community, belief in divine justice is palpable, unfolding with a rhythm dictated by the divine pantheon. Though no inked records indict you, the absence of testimony clings to your spirit, a persistent shadow cast by rumour's relentless tide. Your fate is buoyed upon this swirling orchestration of murmur and reprimand, an eternal dance reminding you of celestial expectations beyond earthly comprehension. Customs ancient as the Euphrates run deep within this land, their roots nurtured by habit more than decree, etching order into chaos. These customs, immutable yet fluid, weigh down upon every soul, from potter to merchant, forming an inextricable part of life. As you stand at the threshold of destiny, the city gate looms as the gateway where mortal fate and divine deliberation intersect. The rhythm of Mesopotamian streets resonates with humanity's ebb and flow, their course directed by the communal beat of ritual and faith. Life here is visualized in grand strokes and exchanged whispers, underscored by the divine's omniscient presence. Amidst this complexity of customs and beliefs, your trial unfolds, a veritable saga within the public eye, forcing an ancient stage to set for its storied drama. Your accuser stands across the marketplace, enshrined within the shifting narrative. Hidden motives of envy and rivalry undulate beneath the facade of righteousness, threading through the ancient tapestry of societal dynamics. Every accusation dances along the precarious balance of morality and ambition, a duet echoing through the pathways of commerce and cooperation. Within the fabric of this society, justice is an intricate masquerade, captained by whispers that tug at the heart of human preservation. Your ordeal becomes a singular act amidst this broader narrative of social survival, caught between the weft of accusation and the warp of ancient customs, deeply embedded in the passage of life. In this land, gods are not merely celestial silhouettes. Their presence channels through every breath and heartbeat. As your trial commences under the dusky sky, their gaze feels direct, inescapable, as potent as the very earth beneath you. Here the courtroom is not of marble and stone, but bound by earth and sky, where this cosmic convocation dictates the trajectory of human endeavours and mythic aspirations. These trials within the marketplace sweep away the veil of privacy, thrusting disputes into public spectacle. It becomes an arena where justice, superstition and daily life blend seamlessly, morphing into a single captivating performance. Faces within the crowd, ageless and eternal, witness your plight. Participants in justice's enactment, played out beneath the sun's descent. As you stand ready to face both gods and mortals, their collective appraisal, sort of tangible force, seems to pause time itself. The air, thick with anticipation, carries forward the enduring cycle of adjudication. An unfaltering testament to the interplay of voices past and present that colour the unfolding tableau. When the dust ultimately settles, the market resumes. Yet these moments linger, painting a picture, an illustration of human strife and divine interplay, forever etched in the annals of time. We surface with an awe-stricken understanding, mirroring the endurance of our ancestors' quest for justice, truth, and identity. The scene set forth is but the first act, whetting our fervent curiosity to delve deeper into this mosaic of enigmatic narratives, where history refuses to be silenced beneath the sands of Mesopotamia. You are ushered towards the council through a bustling marketplace, where the air is thick with bartering voices, and the braying of livestock mingles with the aroma of spices and sweat. Among merchants and artisans, the Council of Elders reigns supreme, shrouded in traditions as ancient as the sun-scorched bricks of the city. These men, arbiters of fate, remain unmoved by pleas of innocence or cries for vengeance. The council chamber stands at the city's heart, a silent, ever-present reminder of power's gravity over countless lives shaped by its decisions. Inside, the air grows heavy with the whispers of those awaiting their own fate. Despite the crowd, you feel the weight of their eyes, some watching with idle curiosity, others filled with dread. The elders, perched in their elevated seats draped in fine wool, wear their authority like a mantle. Faces hidden behind grey beards reveal nothing but the hardened resolve etched by years of dispensing what they deem justice. Beyond sombre appearances, they are men, their judgments more swayed by power's intrigue and whispers than any pursuit of truth. With each nod and gesture, they write your fate with silence as the gods hold their breath. As you kneel before the council, aware of your predicament's grim reality, time stretches endlessly, each second a hammer chipping away at your resolve. The crowd murmurs in anticipation, amplifying your racing thoughts. The elders confer in tones tinged with concealed grimness. It feels choreographed, a timeless ritual you never chose to join, an ancient script where your lines are already written. Memories flicker like shadows across your mind, faces of loved ones, daily routines now poignantly mundane. These thoughts ebb against the bleakness of your uncertain future. Justice here is a skewed scale, tipped not by your story but by elders' nods and status whispers. Their stoic stance occasionally flickers, revealing the shadows of power and tradition bound more tightly to authority than any written law. Though they don't know your name, what they do know, more intimately than any code, is power, and they wield it as gods among mortals. Raising your eyes slightly, you see not kin-guiding empathy, but rulers practiced indifference. Their nods, grim expressions, and deliberately subdued poise conceal any hint of kindness or leniency. Each case before them is a piece in the vast mosaic they oversee, where truth lies buried beneath social standing, wealth, and reputation. Your insignificance has written your fate more than facts ever could. Yet beneath this indifference lies more. These are men who have bartered personal beliefs for society's machinery, dictating silence or speaking. Their verdicts echo the status quo, a reality faithful to hierarchy's immutable currency. Even the faintest rumour, in the right voice, outweighs your truth. Their unreadable expressions remind you of a harsh reality. Your defence's inadequacy, lost in the steadfastness of an old order, seeing you merely as a distraction. This council, through its cold precision, reveals a justice system intertwined with power and prejudice. Entrenched in authority, they enforce a hierarchy perpetuating their standing. Fate here is scripted before you enter the chamber, judged not by crime but societal rank. An elder's gesture nullifies your worth, propped by the influence of those who accuse. The status-driven hub reassures those atop it of their security, hierarchy propping survival itself. The council views decisions as vital to preserving the ancient balance governing communities, believing in their infallibility. Yet beneath their facade lies a shimmering veil, concealing inequality and prejudice. Truths ignored but known. Kneeling there and offering for appraisal, the realization that status prevails over truth is bitter. Despite watching your future dictated not by fact, but by circumstance, dissent is futile. Your story will fade among countless others, lost to history. The chamber's hum, once a cacophony, merges into white noise against your unanimated fate. This is drowning, a fight against unseen tides enveloping you. Each waiting moment stretches like eternity. Near the end, time collapses, displacing minutes with anxious seconds. Your fear manifests in twitches, flushed skin, each council glance an unspoken verdict. Hope flickers, yet quickly extinguishes in resignation, natural as the setting sun. This ordeal, stripped of fairness, carves an understanding of justice. A silent lesson from words unspoken. Suddenly a subtle nod seals your fate. An imperceptible gesture with undeniable weight. This simple act, whether from indifference or deliberation, marks the trial's end. Unlike a gavel's clang, the nod's quiet finality resonates, distributing justice with ruthless efficiency within ancient tradition. The nod is your sentence. It directs you to the ordeal, dictated by divine decree. But it's not just the nod, its inevitability chilling the air, vivid as townsfolk's weary expressions. This decision not only seals your future, but confirms the enduring method empowering these proceedings, unconcerned with truth over order's facade. While truth seems to bend to divine whim, it whispers of counsel steering decisions. Behind practiced demeanours lies a complex influence network, whispers outweighing impartiality. Power moulds not through declarations, but by elders' tuned ear, uninvited truth at their feast of schemes. This trial, cloaked in God's trials, conceals deeper routines, esteeming hierarchy over guilt or innocence. Despite stoic faces, each verdict ripples into covert alliances, truth sacrificed for power. Whispers serve a venerable institution, silent yet decisive authority, truth measured not by daylight but by ancient decree. With nothing ceremonial to mark crisis turning to judgment, the machinery of decision hums. Counsel remains resolute as time stretches between rhythms of your pulse and their measured breath. Proclamation, brief but vast in implication, ignores rebuttal for resonance. Understanding that appeases faithful order amid whispered power. The guards lead you to the riverbank with firm resolve, your feet sinking slightly into the moist earth with each foreboding step. The air is thick with the scent of the Euphrates, the earthy aroma of wet clay, mingling with the whispers of those who gather to watch. The river, calm and relentless, awaits its role as judge, and the rustle of reeds beside you mirrors the silent judgment of the villagers who form a curious crowd around this peculiar trial. Amid the haggling of fishermen and the laughter of children playing nearby, you feel like a solitary figure, trapped in a dream where every sound but your heartbeat fades into a low murmur. Here you stand, accused not by man but before the gods, who will decide your fate through the river's current. The Euphrates, revered as sacred by your ancestors, holds the power to absolve you or mark you forever as guilty, intertwining your fate with the divine as villagers murmur stories of river judgments past. In the shadow of this ancient belief, your presence at the water's edge turns into ritual scripted by centuries of tradition. Each ritualistic gesture by the priest, each chant rising and falling in a foreign tongue, paints your predicament in layers of fear and faith. Incense smoke curls upward, while the priest, clothed in ceremonial vestments, calls upon higher powers to bear witness. Bound and led to the river's edge, you feel the sharp contrast between its cold embrace and the warmth of the sun above. Here, amid chants and prayers, the transition feels surreal, a liminal space where life and death hang by a thread as thin as breath itself. As the waters close over you, the cacophony above turns to silence, a world of muted shadows and ghostly light patterns dancing upon the surface. Each second spent fighting against the current becomes a testament to your will, each stroke against the water a desperate plea for divine intervention. Above, the gathered crowd watches solemnly, each face a blend of expectation and trepidation. This is their morality play, a spectacle that binds the community in shared belief and awe. The river trial remains both a sacred rite and a community event, a vivid demonstration of how ancient justice entwined public ceremony with personal destiny. In an era where divine will shaped human conduct, the river ordeal held profound symbolic significance, testing faith and resolve in the same breath. Yet the silence of the gods during your struggle fills the void with ambiguity. To some, this quiet might suggest divine indifference. To others, a silent adjudication, known only to the currents that cradle your fate. As voices rise in quiet contemplation, the river's depths emerge as the final judges, mysterious and unyielding. For you, the silence might roar louder than judgment, a test of faith where doubt and hope clash like tides against the shore. Through the annals of history, there are tales of those who emerged enlightened or condemned by the river's hand. Some, like a young merchant falsely accused, surfaced only to find guilt etched on their survival, his story casting deep shadows upon the clay tablets that tell of ancient injustices. Each story carved from the depths speaks of the duality of man and divine, of faith's trials set against turbulent waters. To survive the ordeal means to wear guilt like a heavy cloak, the river's judgment branding you with an indelible mark. Society's eyes, once hopeful for vindication, shift to accusatory glances as the burden of presumed guilt hangs heavier than chains. Traditions, once offering solace, now trap you in a cycle of suspicion and exile, where the whispers of your fellow villagers carry the weight of lost honour. The legacy of these ordeals flows through time, a powerful narrative of culture and belief echoing through the ages. Mesopotamian society, with its interwoven faith and justice, preserved these rites, even as civilizations rose and fell along these sacred banks. The trial spoke of humanity's search for truth in divine silence, embedding messages of purity and judgment in their wake. As you resurface, gasping and trembling, the ancient river hums its timeless song, a reminder of perseverance and hope in the pursuit of divine truth amidst human chaos. Villagers gathered by the Euphrates, their eyes fixed on you as the ritual of the river ordeal began. There was a sombre weight to the proceedings, each movement marked by tradition and divine sanction. The coarse ropes wound around your limbs were not merely restraints, they symbolically bound your fate to the gods. With each knot, the priest muttered sacred invocations, weaving an ancient tapestry of belief that blurred justice with ritual. The crowd, a living mosaic of expressions, watched in reverent silence, caught between the drama and the divinity of this shared spectacle. As the air filled with the pungent aroma of incense mingling with the earthy scent of the riverbank, you felt a tightening in your chest. The assessment of the knots by the priest was the final act before your plunge, an appraisal of craft and ceremony. For onlookers, this ordeal was both judgment and theatre, a vivid intersection of justice and faith. The final moment arrived with a push, your body tipping into the river's cold embrace, crossing from earthly life into the hands of ancient spirits. The icy water was a shock, grasping and demanding, pulling you into its depths. Panic surged as you battled against the current's relentless grip. The sun fractured into a kaleidoscope of wavering lines above you, the village's sounds fading into the murk. In the dim underwater world, only your heartbeat and the river's rush remained. In your struggle, memories and pleas flitted through your mind, a cacophony begging the gods to favour your struggle. Life felt suspended between breaths, caught in the ancient belief that drowning marked innocence and survival. Guilt. The village watched from the shore, each person a silent juror in your trial by water. Their faces, a blur of interest, hope and detached amusement, crafted the story of your ordeal. For some, it was a stark reminder of their own standing with the divine, while children absorbed the ritual as a lesson in fate's capriciousness. The ripple effects lingered long after the surface calmed, planting seeds of fear or guiding paths toward piety. The river's sentence felt distant, more cosmic entertainment than local judgment. Above the ambient rush of water, the priest chant cut through, a thread connecting the mortal and ethereal realms. Clad in symbol-adorned robes, he held sacred scrolls, each syllable precise and potent. The chant was a lifeline, intended to guide your spirit or implore the divine to show mercy. Like ethereal chains, the words unified the scene, history's weight, the omnipresence of deities, your mortal struggle, while transcending the moment, casting listeners into a spellbound state where life and myth intertwined. As the ordeal continued, you personified the duality of divine judgment and natural inevitability, a testament to ancient interpretation. Was it truly judgment from the gods, or was nature wielding its own indifferent verdict? Gathered beside the river, villagers believed in a higher justice delivered through divine intermediaries. Yet the river itself told another truth, one of natural indifference, enacting judgment without celestial input. This paradox served dual purposes, detaching human responsibility while justifying the spectacle. Innocence marked by survival or guilt by surrender. Then came the silent inhalation. A collective pause, tense anticipation gripped everyone as they awaited fate's verdict. Every gesture stalled. The assembly held its breath in unity, an eternity captured in moments, with fate's echo hanging in the balance. This hush underscored the ordeal's gravity, highlighting tradition's influence over their lives. In that pause, hope and uncertainty danced together, woven by countless unseen hands, into a narrative thick with awe, an instinct to defy and embrace history unfolding before them. In this suspended moment, you grappled with an unimaginable struggle. Your lungs burned, iron will colliding with the relentless river. The space was intangible, timeless, a spiritual battleground. Bound by suffering, the desire to escape battled the constraining power of divine consequence. Yet here, amidst this clash, you found endurance, a relentless art built on survival's edge. The air eluded you. Confinement became torment and muse. At last, resistance gave way to surrender, yielding to the river goddess's cradle. Acceptance emerged, and within its brutal simplicity, a realization dawned. Run, stop, watch. Calm nestled beneath the torrent's surface, an otherworldly quiet amidst chaos. By accepting, equilibrium surfaced, freeing you from struggle. Relief undulated within the depths, unveiling not destiny but vulnerability interwoven with the current, hinting at humanity's fragility against nature's embrace. Rising, half breathless, you emerged from its grasp, gasping, your world fractured and glistening like sunlit illusion. This ascent from the river was triumphant, imbued with shared belief and a communal awe. Villagers paused, witnessing renewal, a testament to faith made flesh. In this moment, survival intertwined with identity reclaimed anew, a living testament to divine decree. As the chapter closed, words unspoken were etched into memory, residual echoes of the river's judgment, where myth and reality entwined in a dance of fated deliverance. In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, a cauldron stands amidst the sun-baked bricks of the temple courtyard, its surface brimming with boiling oil, a vessel of divine judgment. The thick air is laden with smoke and anticipation as villagers crowd around, their expressions mingling fear with a macabre curiosity. This ordeal, blending suffering with mysticism, aims to uncover truth through pain. The belief among them is simple yet profound. The gods themselves protect the innocent, serving as a mystical shield in the harrowing events about to unfold. Before the gathered crowd, a priest resplendent in ceremonial garb lifts his arms to the sky, invoking the names of distant deities. Their whispers are believed to govern human fate. In stark contrast, the accused stands vulnerable, stripped of all protection, under the relentless gaze of the priest and community alike. Each breath the onlookers take is held captive, waiting for the moment when the accused must plunge their hand into the searing cauldron. In that prolonged instant, the test becomes both a plea for mercy and a debate between human and divine justice. The air thrums with the very essence of fear, as the boundary of human endurance fades against the backdrop of celestial intervention. Standing barefoot on the cold, hard earth, your fate teeters on the edge of the boiling oil, mere inches away. A priest's rhythmic chant resounds with ancient incantations, meant to summon forces greater than human doubt. The crowd exhales, threading an invisible tension across the courtyard. Suddenly, your name is called, jolting you back to reality, pressing the weight of judgment upon you. The acrid smoke blurs your vision, and overwhelms your lungs. The cauldron of despair looms ominously before you. This trial by ordeal is a submission to divine decision, demanding faith in the god's righteousness. With a gesture from the priest, you submerge your hand into the scalding depths, seeking both redemption and truth. Each hiss of pain is a silent prayer. To the onlookers, this moment transcends the ordinary, a vivid merging of mortal action with divine mystery. It is a scene saturated with theology, creating a visual sermon where pain itself becomes truth, perpetuating a history where the gods are ultimate arbiters of justice. Withdrawing your hand, now slick with oil, the priest meticulously examines the blisters, like a seer reading sacred runes. These wounds embody a divine decree etched onto flesh. The priest's keen eyes judge the marks of divine will. Whether the blisters heal or fester reveals innocence or guilt. Ancient belief held that supernatural forces could alter the course of healing to pronounce their verdict. Days stretch long as the village waits. It isn't an immediate decision, but rather a prolonged observation. Eyes track the infection's progress, scanning each scar as if interpreting divine scripture. This process might seem baffling now, entrusting justice to biology's caprices, but the ancients saw it as the gods' means to reveal truth. Trust lay in both divine judgment and the community's perception of meaning in fate's ever-turning wheel. Such trials by ordeal, woven into the fabric of ancient Babylonian law, were foundational to justice systems rooted in divine will. They were not mere punishments, but cleansings, stripping layers of deceit to leave glaring honesty. This practice, though foreign to modernity, speaks to an era when theology and law were deeply entwined. Gods like Enki and Shamash held weighty roles in this judicial narrative, forming the backbone of Mesopotamian life. Yet these ordeals fell unevenly across social classes. While aristocrats might navigate legal systems with witnesses or payments, the ordinary people faced direct divine judgment. For the commoner, these trials could be capricious, as unpredictable as the gods' favour. This vivid disparity underscores ancient societal inequities, where wealth bent justice's scales toward privilege. Historical records recount tales like that of Kushim, a builder accused of embezzling temple funds. Documented on fragmented tablets, Kushim's ordeal was a spectacle. The cauldron deemed him innocent when his hand emerged unscathed. Alternatively, tales of the scribe Zamug, whose satirical verses angered city rulers, ended with festered wounds and a priest's decree of guilt, showcasing the unpredictable dance between human cleverness and divine wrath. Religion served as both heart and overseer in Mesopotamian justice. The divine loomed large from temples to courts, weaving a tapestry where earthly judgments resonated with cosmic significance. These trials form the anchor for societal stability, pressing mortal hands to what was believed to be celestial truth. Festivals and prophecies melded into the proceedings, blending justice with sacred rituals. Despite the gravity of these ordeals, moments of irony and humour surfaced. There's an intrigue in entrusting the supernatural with earthly justice, a facet recognised even by the ancients. Sometimes, amidst the solemnity, a misplaced trial or a wandering goat might provoke laughter amidst the crowd, bringing a fleeting levity to the grim proceedings. The legacy of Mesopotamian ordeals challenges us to question today's justice systems and their echoes of ancient inequities. As we explore these bygone trials, they eerily remind us of our attempts to balance justice and belief. Though the firelight fades on this chapter, the intrigue endures, beckoning us to ponder the unfathomable as we continue our journey through history's mirrored corridors. In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, scribes stood as powerful figures, guardians of the written word in a world where literacy was a precious rarity. Stationed between the realm of administrative necessity and divine law, these scribes wielded significant influence. Their mastery of cuneiform, a script inscribed onto clay tablets with a reed stylus, was not just a skill, but a mark of distinction that granted them unique position within society, bridging the secular and the sacred. They were not mere record keepers. They were active participants in societal governance, their words etched into clay, forever shaping destinies. This profound power was most ominously reflected in the practice of inscribing curses into clay. The act was not just recorded history or a statement, it was considered an invocation, a sacred communication with the gods as witnesses. In a society steeped in superstition and the idea of divine intervention, these cursed tablets were feared. Left beneath the statues of stern temple deities, the tablets were believed capable of swaying the favour or wrath of gods, with the power to alter earthly circumstances dramatically. Curses in ancient Mesopotamia served as tools of divine coercion to secure justice when human systems failed. The crafting of a curse was meticulous, a delicate process where words were carefully chosen, invoking specific deities to enforce the curse. Inscribing one onto clay was a weighty act, transforming it into an eternal plea to the gods. This tangible record of grievance applied pressure on the accused to appease the perceived divine anger, as the fear of supernatural retribution loomed over daily interactions. The mere suggestion of a curse could stir paranoia. When livestock sickened or children fell ill, whispers of curses swept through communities. Such fears fostered tension in social dealings as people nervously pondered their actions, conscious of inciting a curse. This heightened sense of caution affected every facet of life, from trade to family ties. The menace of curses shaped these ancient societies, instilling deep compliance with social norms underpinned by a reverence for the divine. Rituals surrounding curse tablets were as crucial as the curses themselves. Before inscripting a curse, purification rituals often occurred, underscoring the belief in the sanctity and potency of the written word. Proper invocation required careful ceremony, intending to ensure the curse's full weight would be realised once placed beneath the watchful eyes of temple statues. These rituals served dual purposes: reminders of social and religious obligations, and mechanisms for enforcing cosmic justice. Daily life bore the constant presence of curses as people walked carefully in a landscape where divine forces might intervene at any moment. Relationships of all kinds required careful navigation, lest offences be committed unknowingly. Fear of being cursed encouraged the development of dispute resolution measures, maintaining a veneer of harmony even as common calamities might unleash accusations. This tension sowed both caution and constraint within communities, anchoring them in silent observance of the gods' eyes. The emotional toll was palpable. The fear of curses, real or imagined, kept suspicions high and trust low. Misfortunes, explained through the lens of divine intervention, often led to accusations and ostracism. Relationships frayed under the strain of potential supernatural reprisal, reducing broader communal interaction to wary coexistence. To combat this fear, people relied on amulets and talismans for protection. These objects, believed to repel malevolent forces, became cherished, often carrying inscriptions invoking protective deities. Beyond tangible objects, ritual protections invoked priestly intercession and expectant ceremonies intended to cleanse individuals of curses. In a culture so intertwined with the supernatural, these rites reinforced a shared belief in divine power, overseeing personal and public spheres alike. Historical accounts reveal tales where curses altered the course of events dramatically. From personal vendettas to power plays, these stories illustrate the perceived reality of curses' potency in altering destinies. They reveal an era where divine justice was believed accessible through clay and cuneiform. Ultimately, the legacy of Mesopotamian curses extends into modernity, where written words still wield authority and influence. Supernatural narratives may have faded, but the idea that words capture power persists, reflected in legal documents and cultural rituals. These ancient practices echo through history, highlighting enduring human reliance on language as a means to predict, control, and navigate life. The ancient fear of curses reminds us of humanity's ongoing dance with fate and the divine, an eternal thread binding past to present. In the remote heart of Mesopotamia, where dusty trails weave through ancient oak groves, a temple dedicated to Ishtar looms against the evening sky. It's here, beneath a mantle of stars painted across the night, that villagers gather in hushed anticipation. The accused stands among them, the weight of whispered accusations of infidelity hanging heavy from unseen tongues. The air is ripe with a tension thickened by the mingling scents of frankincense and sweat. The priests, draped in shadowy garments, drift through the crowd with an authority that commands silence, each gesture measured, each movement steeped in portent. They claim to speak for the gods, their eyes closed as they weave narratives of divine will amid doubts that cling tenaciously to the vestiges of the woman's heart. Beside a pit of dormant embers, her fate teetered between the ethereal whispers of belief and the tangible heat of fire. The audience pulses with murmurs of prayer and grim anticipation as the priests begin their solemn preparations. Before the break of dawn, these keepers of ancient secrets set about their rituals, meticulously arranging logs in a sacred pattern, sparking the kindling with the precision passed down through countless generations. Their chants rise in rhythmic cadence, summoning flames that leap and crackle, illuminating the temple walls with age-old tales of justice and destiny. Shadows flicker in a spectral dance, painting scenes of judgment and fate upon the stones. As the flames wax and wane, the coals below grow vibrant and fierce, a dangerous gauntlet that challenges the steadfastness of all gathered. The passage is a fiery crucible, a test forged in ritual and belief, where pain and purgation await. The accused, a young woman well known to her community, stands barefoot before this blazing corridor. Her name is a whispered enigma, a blend of remembered kindness and shadowed suspicion. Clad in a simple tunic, she trembles despite the inferno's heat. Her eyes, cast downward, echo the struggle between hope and despair that gnaws at her spirit. Those who condemn her remain unseen, yet their presence is palpable. Silent spectres, ready to cast stones of judgment, in a world where proof is as fleeting as a shadow in the dusk. As the priests beckon her forward, her silent prayers rise with the smoke, beseeching the gods who watch from their celestial perch. When her foot first touches the coals, a gasp rises from the crowd, a concerted inhalation held by shared breath. Her toes curl against the insidious heat, and yet she moves forward, step by agonizing step. With each stride, she challenges the judgment imposed upon her by a world not of her making. The embers bite with fervent intensity, each searing touch a testament to her resolve against an unyielding fate. Her lips form words of silent sanctuary, a dialogue with the divine as she ventures where others might falter. Beneath her, the coals crackle, burning her souls and etching her name into the annals of her community's collective memory. It is a defiant march of truth, where the flames whisper tales of ancient judgment. The priests linger at the fringes of this fiery trial, their gaze unwavering, searching for signs of divine intervention in the burns and blisters that mar the woman's flesh. They are impartial judges, incorruptible in their role as intermediaries between man and God. The villagers stand tense, their gaze shifting between the priest's unreadable faces and the woman's harrowing progress. Every hiss and crackle becomes a spectator, every breath a shared alchemy of hope and doubt. In the intermittent pauses between heartbeats, ancient stories of past judgments float on the breeze, legends of innocence and guilt, woven from the whispers of ages gone by. Such tales are both a beacon of hope and mired in skepticism, each anecdote a thin veneer covering the raw truths of history. They are exchanges of folklore, delicate narratives holding ancient wisdom and cautionary layers intertwined with truths. As she stumbles beyond the ember's reach, the collective tension dissolves into released breath. Her fate is now subject to the priestly conclave, her blistered feet scrutinised with ritualistic detachment. Each mark bears testament to divine displeasure or the capricious hand of fate. In this ancient land where cosmic judgment imprints itself upon living flesh, the god's decision resides in the warped paths of scorched skin. With her ordeal concluded, she turns to healing, her soul's blistered and tender. Each step forward testifies to a newfound chapter, where survival is chronicled not only in the physical, but in the communal memory. The village gathers her tale, entwining it with rituals dedicated to the gods, sharing it through stories and songs that illuminate the human spirit's resilience against the tide of fate. She becomes a living legend, celebrated in dance and narrative, her defiance against fire transforming into an indelible thread in the tapestry of Mesopotamian lore. Her trial, etched in memory, remains a whisper in the scarred corridors of ancient history, a flicker of light in an endless cycle of trial and testimony. Slowly, you ascend the steps of the mighty ziggurat, each echoing thud a reminder of your impending fate. Before you rises the temple, a monumental edifice of baked bricks stacked toward the heavens, steeped in divine mystery and the weight of human expectation. The crowd gathers in hushed anticipation, nervous relatives, idle spectators, and those yearning for celestial intervention. Yet amidst them stands just one who truly matters today. You. The heavy scent of incense clouding the air as you enter envelopes your senses, comforting and suffocating in equal measure. Flickering braziers illuminate the space, casting dancing shadows on the walls, adorned with eternal deities, ever watchful, ever judging. In this sacred arena the priest awaits, a figure of awe and fear, thought to serve as the bridge between mortal soil and divine clouds. Clad in ceremonial garb, the priest's presence looms large, a symbol of the sacred connection to the gods. His voice, trained and seasoned, fills the vaulted space with purpose and gravity. To many, he is a conduit of ancient wisdom, interpreting the divine language through ritual and dreams. Yet, behind the imposing ritual could lay a mortal man with human desires and weaknesses. Is he truly voicing divine decree, or merely skilled in manipulation? His gaze seems to pierce the layers of your soul, his role unassailable in a society bound by faith rather than empirical truth. Incantations roll off his tongue, evoking the celestial, as though he wields the very power of the gods within his speech. Each word that resounds in the hallowed halls forges the path of your destiny, though whether it is a true reflection of divine intent or crafted human judgment remains unseen. Rituals unfold with deliberate ceremony. The priest, steeped in tradition, commences the ancient rites with solemn precision. Each movement, each phrase, is carefully orchestrated to invoke celestial power, offering perceived glimpses into the supernatural to the gathered throng. As his voice rises, the very walls seem to lean closer, embracing the enchanting song that reaches both human and divine ears. These rites, carried down through uncountable generations, represent an unbroken bond between man and God, or so the faithful believe. Within this ritual theatre, the balance of power is unmistakable. The priest calls forth a narrative of salvation or condemnation, while you remain at the mercy of his spoken decree. As you lock eyes with him, his gaze unfocused, you ponder the supposed divine insight he claims to wield. Dreams are sacred in this ancient land, a supposed language spoken by gods, translated by those skilled in deciphering their cryptic symbology. Priests are masters of this art, weaving interpretations that dictate mortal fates. However thin lies the boundary between revelation and invention. Is the priest truly interpreting divine will, or constructing a narrative that supports the order of things? Within his dreams recounting, full of symbols and allegories, the roots of reality blur with imaginative artifice. You stand captivated, wondering where truth ends and deception begins. As the priest declares your guilt, the space around you holds its breath. The verdict ripples through those assembled, a declaration of divine judgment. Yet, beneath its veneer of ordained justice, lies human interpretation. Relief washes over some in the audience, while others retain a quiet skepticism. Here, the priest's word, not written in the stars but crafted in his thoughts, shapes reality. Your fate sealed by neither godly intervention nor cosmic balance, but by human practice dressed in sacred guise. The verdict reverberates among the congregation. Some distance themselves, fearing the priest's power. Others accept the words as truth, upholding the divine verdict as an indelible law. To many, this wasn't a shock, an outcome they'd come to expect in a world governed by the intertwining of faith and rule. Among the crowd, undercurrents of doubt and silent contemplation weave through those questioning their complicity in the silent maintenance of an archaic system. Your trial becomes a communal reflection, an introspective mirror for those standing amid their own crises of faith and justice. Ancient records on clay tablets and in chants reveal the priest's place in this sacred order, a mediator of divine will, a kingmaker in times of gods and men. Beneath these narratives lie tales of power struggles, challenges to priestly authority, and visions for reform. This historical context paints priests as both revered and questioned, individuals who've mastered the art of divine narrative in a society at the cusp of history and myth. Amidst the unfolding drama, one question persists: who truly dictates justice? Across the temple's hallowed ground, it isn't silent deities but mortals clad in divine roles who render judgment. The absence of heavenly voice underscores the limits of human understanding and the missteps of those who claim divine right. Truth, in its stark reality, becomes a human invention shaped by tradition and authority. As the process concludes, you awaken to the realization that swift currents of faith and human nature craft the endgame of such trials. And so the cycle persists, an ongoing dance of verdict and ritual instilled in the fabric of Mesopotamian life. Tradition stands resilient, bolstered by time's passage and deep cultural roots. While whispers of change linger, the old ways hold with steadfast tenacity. Their allure of certainty and familiarity trumping emerging voices of logic and reason. Your own story, like countless before, etches into the annals of time a narrative of belief and power, leaving behind a faint echo of the human quest for meaning, enshrouded in the guise of the divine. In the dim shadows of a chamber lit by flickering torches, the air hangs heavy with anticipation and subdued dread. As the accused, you are led in not for judgment, but for a ritual of pain designed to extract confessions from dry lips and quivering hearts. Here, justice is dispensed not with gavel and scales, but through the subtle cruelty of hardened men, their tools the instruments of dread. Wooden planks, leather straps and searing brands. These are the silent harbingers of truth in ancient Mesopotamia, a place where pain is believed to purify the soul before it faces divine scrutiny. In the oppressive confines of the room, pain assumes the role of a grim negotiator. The ancients trusted that agony stripped away lies. This wasn't punitive, but sacred, a preface to divine arbitration where flesh bore the marks of authority. As you stand surrounded by symbols of Mesopotamian ingenuity turned dark, every wooden rod and stinging reed tells a tale of suffering, designed to break the will and elicit the truth or something close enough. The masquerade silence of the chamber is punctuated by the resonant hum of whispers turning to demands, a negotiation in a language of muted screams. Around you hang the implements of torment, sophisticated devices honed to unravel the mysteries of the human heart. Imagine rods cut from sturdy reed delivering stinging blows, metal brands that sear flesh with condemning patterns, and stones that weigh not goods today, but judge your will. The men wielding these tools are chosen for their precision in balancing fear and compliance, acting as intermediaries between you and the gods. Yet the pressure they apply is not just physical. Extraordinarily, it delves into the psyche, exploring the human mind like a battlefield. Whispers become insidious confidences meant to unravel your beliefs and fragment your loyalties. Confession under this relentless duress becomes a desperate bargain. As pain blurs truth and deception into indistinguishable shadows, admitting guilt, real or imagined, appears to be the only recourse. Many before you have found temporary solace in surrender, choosing to end their suffering by fabricating sins and accepting the taint of confession. The overseers care not for the purity of your admission, but for its utility in the grand orchestration of sanctioned misery. Justice here rests in the balance of survival and submission, where the cost is a pliable truth and freedom an abstract goal. Beyond these walls, the low hum of a crowd rises. Trials by ordeal are public spectacles, a morbid theatre of communal engagement where locals gather to witness the combination of divine justice and ancient tradition. The line between observer and participant is blurred, each spectator a judge in this shared narrative. For them, your suffering is voyeuristic theatre, a drama playing out sacred customs wrapped in secular bonds. They are both the uncrowned jury and the empathetic witnesses, measuring every grimace, not for civic duty, but perhaps as an extension of their own lives' moral tapestry. The limitations of this justice loom large. The system, ancient and flawed, conceals its inherent imperfections beneath rigid laws and brutal methods. Of the countless who confessed under duress, many were innocent, swept up in a storm of misjudgment and coercion. Yet Mesopotamian law persists, an unpredictable arbiter indiscriminately binding sinner and saint alike. The trials are embroideries of crude fairness, systems where the influential sometimes escape, and the innocent are confined by an unfeeling balance. In enduring such trials, a strange reverence emerges from agony. For the devout, pain becomes a vessel to communicate with the divine. It's a spiritual currency, an offering as tangible as the stones lining the riverbed. Devotion veils the chamber in an aura of religious gravitas. Even as the body is racked with torment, souls stand half thrall, half supplicant, their cries transformed into prayers as vague whispers of protest. Each anguished breath transcends mortal suffering, echoing as a tribute to the ancient paradox of worship. Gazing inward, Mesopotamians view these ordeals not as mere brutality, but as a binding ritual with their gods. Pain binds stone and faith, anchoring their culture in an illusory justice. From outside, however, foreign eyes see these rituals as bizarre exotica, tales of draconian justice swirling through tavern whispers. Yet beneath these perceptions, a resilient human spirit remains unbroken. Even amidst the harsh grip of celestial judgment, individuals find light, a powerful thread of defiance weaving through suffering, singing to the unwavering strength of faith. As millennia pass, echoes of these ordeals persist, challenging us to confront enduring questions of justice and power, the resonance of pain, and the eternal dance of human resilience. Today we recognise these threads woven into our own narratives, reminders of history's enduring legacy. The tales heal us not through punishment, but by illuminating a bridge that links us across time, one formed by our relentless quest for justice and truth, a span of understanding threading through the depths of human experience. In the dust-choked streets of ancient Mesopotamia, being accused felt like a personal apocalypse, an invisible storm battering your very existence. Your accuser's words, perhaps as fleeting as the desert wind, could alter your fate irrevocably. Family and clan bore this burden alongside you, branded by association, while evidence often mattered less than the force of public perception. Gossip wove through the city like a river's current, eroding reputations with unrelenting whispers. Enduring the weight of this accusation was not just a personal battle, it was a public spectacle tinged with capriciousness, where silence echoed louder than any plea. When no one dared to speak in your defence, the absence of words became a proclamation of your guilt, amplifying your isolation. The absence of a defender was a tangible weight, pressing heavily upon you like iron chains. In a society knit together by alliances and communal ties, standing alone defied all norms. This lack of support didn't merely reflect personal guilt, but rather hinted at hidden social dynamics. Fear, or perhaps intimidation by more powerful foes, compelled friends and allies to silence, aligning with unstated understandings about what it meant to take sides. Silence became a calculated strategy for self-preservation, protecting others from retaliatory consequences that could easily fracture their lives. This harsh silence drowned the accused, denying them agency as their character, and truth sank beneath the collective murmur. Trust, once assumed as a societal foundation, disintegrated under this accusatory weight. Acquaintances who once greeted you with warmth now viewed you through a lens of suspicion. The fragile fabric of community frayed quickly, leaving you marooned on an island of doubt. Where once trust was the currency that ensured harmony, now it lay void, scattering relations and breeding pervasive suspicion. This erosion left scars, echoing through the memories of witnesses who learned to tread cautiously, aware of how quickly public favour could turn. Accusations became tools wielded for personal gain, transforming silence into a prison that suffocated hope. Fear, ever present in ancient Mesopotamian life, seeped into every choice, overt and subtle. To speak up for an accused friend was a daring act, possibly resultant in severe consequences. Choosing silence over solidarity was a defence mechanism, ensuring personal safety in an unpredictable world. Thus, without defenders, the accused stood alone against a system that seemed tailored for submission as much as justice. This silence, penetrating deeper than any physical blow, was a reminder that even unspoken absence could fracture spirits and communities alike. Ostracism in this era unfolded as a silent execution of social estrangement. It was an informal, yet venomous ritual, branding the accused long before evidence was ever considered. This social isolation affected not just individuals but rippled through families, severing them from the safety and opportunities their peers enjoyed. It became a powerful societal tool, maintaining order without confrontation, an insidious marker of community self-preservation. Silence weaponized here illustrated the frailties underlying human interaction, challenging concepts of loyalty and trust that transcended time. The elders wielded silence as deftly as any scribe's reed, employing this tool to maintain order through ritualistic control. It shaped narratives with greater clarity and influential power than any spoken testimony. Silence maintained social hierarchies and traditions, compounding the inevitable fate that coloured everyday interactions. The accused, reduced to voiceless participants in this theatre, were caught within an alienating structure that applied pressure to ensure compliance, silence acting both as weapon and shield. Silence also challenged faith. To those living under the rule of divine deities, these trials embodied more than earthly judgment. They mirrored divine intention. The accused were not simply appealing to human adjudicators, but performing in the cosmic court of gods. Believers accepted silence as part of a bigger design, testing moral fibres against decrees of spiritual justice. This conflict straddled earthly despair and heavenly significance, disrupting the dichotomy of innocence and guilt into realms unknown, ruled by divine orchestration. With this double-edged silence, friend and foe converged silently. Allies transformed into neutral onlookers, weaving survival instinct into the tapestry of reality. This was not always betrayal, but a stark revelation of self-preservation amid loyalty shifts. Enemies thrived within these silences, emboldened by the absence of defenders, which might mask undercurrents of long-standing rivalries. The paradox of deceit and camaraderie shell-shocked even the keenest through their paradoxical grips. Such silence finds parallels today, threaded through digital spaces where reputations topple under cyber accusations, where public opinion serves as both jury and executioner. Though the mediums differ, the essence of judgment by silence remains, splintered across timelines between analog and digital, leaving modern individuals battling reputational storms alone, while unable to hear defences unspoken. Silence, ever shifting, reveals timeless human propensities to guard social perceptions, with judgments embellished by fear's splash. In the end, the chasm of silence left by Mesopotamian customs reverberates today, a reminder of how subtly silence can suffocate truth. This ancient tactic, laced in fear and power, calls for contemplation at every turn. As stones cast by Mesopotamian hands rippled into modern tides, they impart us lessons as stark as the tablets etched in those bygone days. urging acknowledgement of silence's unpaid dues. With tales told beneath the stars, the channel's storytelling beckons you to like, subscribe and reflect upon our shared histories painted within these ageless bounds without voice.